I am upset by how misled we pet owners are by what we thought we should be feeding our cats and our dogs by the biggest food manufacturers out there. My guest today has dispelled so many myths that I wasn't even aware of as a pet mom of a dog and a cat. And honestly, I feel now so heartened by how I can take better care with everything that she taught me today, including, ding, 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 does my dog need doggy acupuncture? It's real. Hi, my name is Andrea Miller. Welcome back to Getting Open. Dr. Ambika Vaid is a distinguished doctor of veterinary medicine. She serves as the integrative veterinarian at Chewy's first ever pet clinic in Denver, Colorado, and recently joined forces with Emmy-winning actress Katherine Heigl as an advisor for her premium dog nutrition brand, Badlands Ranch. Dr. Vaid's passion for establishing deep connections with clients and unraveling the unique tales of their pets has made her a standout figure in the world of holistic veterinarian medicine. Specializing in pet nutrition, surgery, and dental procedures, Dr. Vaid is a trusted general practitioner who offers a comprehensive approach to animal care and disease prevention. So nice to have you on Getting Open. Thanks for joining my show.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, you became a vet out of a love for animals, but your journey into integrative medicine really took shape after a personal loss. Let's start with that, because I think everybody listening is like, oh my God, we love our pets so much. And just having that shared sense of passion for our pets and losing pets. How many of us have lost pets? So I'd love to set the stage with your story.
Absolutely. So I have always wanted to be a vet. You know, in our field, it's either you know or you don't know. That's kind of how you get into it. So since I was like 6 or 7 years old, I had always known. And I had very supportive parents who were like, okay, you said it, so we're going to do it. And they were just so supportive along the way. And I started off my first few years as just a general practitioner. And I had a 15-year-old dog named Boomer. And he was just like the light of our lives. He's a Labradoodle and he just had so much energy. But as he started getting older, I could tell his body was kind of deteriorating, but his mind was very much still there. So it was just so hard to see that he couldn't walk as well or that he was slipping a lot, but his mind was still there. He was still the same playful puppy in his head. And so it just got really hard to see that. And it made me realize we must be doing something wrong in the way that we're treating pets. And I felt like even when I was doing what I was doing, there were so many times that I was like, well, you're here for itching and I'm going to give you the same medication as I gave the last patient. I'm not tailoring anything to you. I'm just giving you, what I'm taught to give you. And I don't know how much harm I'm doing to you in the future. And I just feel like that's what happened to my own dog. So once we lost him, it made me really take a step back and realize that I can't keep practicing like this for the rest of my life. It's just not fulfilling. I need to change something. I need to work harder. I need to use my brain a little bit more and tailor my plans to those specific pets, because every pet is different. What you're feeding your pet, what you're doing with your pet is so different than what I did with mine. So how can we treat them all the same? And so that was just a really big wake-up call for me. And I'm sad that I lost him, but I'm really grateful for the lesson he taught me on his way out.
I mean, well, first of all, sorry for your loss, right? I mean, a number of my friends have lost pets relatively recently, and then they're like, well, I know I shouldn't be so upset. I'm like, yeah, you should be. Right? How close we are. And I have the best dog and the best cat in the world, just saying. So also a pet mom. And those bonds are so strong with our pets.
Yeah.
And
it's they rely on us to make all of their decisions. Like, they look to us for when are we allowed to eat, when are we allowed to go outside and poop and pee. They rely on us for everything. It's just an unconditional love like no other. It's so special. So it's valid to be upset about it. I've had clients who are like, I'm in therapy after losing my last dog and I need help before I can get the next one. And I feel that. I feel like that's just so real, especially nowadays when COVID was a part of our life and, people weren't leaving. Their only companion was their animal. And so to lose an animal like that after spending so much uninterrupted time with them is just, it's so hard.
Totally. And this wasn't on my list of questions, but I'm going to ask you, what do you recommend for the grief of losing a pet.
Yeah, there are grief groups out there for pets nowadays. And, nowadays people aren't having babies, they're having pets. Like that's what they're doing instead. So there are so many grief groups out there for pets in your area that you can find. The other thing is it really depends on your personality. Like if you are someone who needs that companion in your life, going to the shelter and adopting another one immediately may be the right thing for you. And fulfilling that love with a new pet immediately may be the best thing for you to help you get over your grief. Some people need a little bit more time. So I think doing some reading, doing some talking with people who have been there with you, those grief groups helps a lot. For other people, jumping right back into it and having that companion helps a lot as well.
Yeah, honestly, it's a topic that it feels like it's not talked about enough, quite honestly.
And I think it's gotten a lot more sensationalized now, like I said, with people not having families as much and just depending on their pets as their babies. Like when I have clients who just get a puppy, they act like their parents. Like they have lists of questions. They bring in the food that they're feeding. They want all the information. They're calling me like all the time. Well, he did this. Is this normal? Or his ear looks like that. Is that normal? And so there is just this different profound love than there used to be back in the day. Like if I have an older client, they're like, well, back in the day, I never used to really do this for my pet, or I never used to take it to the vet. So there's just been a huge change in how we look at our pets.
That's actually really interesting, right? What I'm hearing from you, I feel like, or I'm getting is that having a pet. Okay, I mean, listen, I'm sure we had a pet, we had a little dog when I was a lot younger, and we loved it. But your point, I think, is the right one, which is it was more passive, where the way people invest emotionally in their pets and financially and doing everything that we do. And we're a little like that. We're not too crazy, but a little crazy as far as just really making that emotional and financial investment in pets. It's interesting to see that shift and to hear that from you, because again, I haven't thought about it like that. I mean, let's face it, in the West, in America in particular, your point is like, the birth rate is going down. The birth rate of human beings is going down. And so what I hear you saying is part of that vacuum is getting replaced by pets. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
100%. And like the other thing that we're seeing is vet care is changing. Integrative medicine is an old concept, but it's newer now. Like we now have the ability to get certified in these things. And maybe there were a few veterinarians back in the day that were doing that, but it just wasn't talked about enough. Now we're seeing people talking about it and focusing on nutrition and longevity and keeping their pets really healthy and preventative care. It just was never the case before. Before it was, give me my vaccines, put my dog down. And that was kind of all, so it's just so different now.
Well, totally. And I want to ask you all about that, because that is an area of expertise and something that you've really invested in. I do want to make this statement because I've heard it from friends who have lost pets. Guys, if you're really grieving about a pet, that is okay, right? And don't feel bad. Like don't try to minimize it, right? And so often I feel like as human beings, we minimize our emotions. Like, I shouldn't worry about that, right? So just because I'm talking to you and I know how strongly I feel, and so many of the people that I'm close to with pets, when there is a loss or there is an illness with the pet, feel it. Don't minimize it, is what I say.
Yeah, 100%. My dog is my current dog. I got her in vet school. She's 9 now. And whenever I look at her, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how many years I have left with you. But I just love her so unconditionally. And she loves me so unconditionally. She's like my shadow. So just not, it's like they can't talk to us, but they're just there all the time. If I need to go for a coffee run, she jumps in the car with me. It's just, how do you not grieve that? How do you get over something like that so quickly,
Totally. And it's probably a good thing they can't talk to us.
Oh, yeah. I think
you know what I mean?
Like,
but it's the feeling. And honestly, when I think about the best relationships with people, yes, you can have these really deep conversations or somebody says something funny, but human communication, 70% is nonverbal. And so when I think about especially the way my cat meows, I'm like, oh, I just wish I had a meow translator. Like, I want to know what you're saying, but I feel it. Like, and some people are like, lady, you're crazy.
When cats meow, they're talking to their human. Cats don't meow to each other. So it's specifically for you.
What? Oh, that
Yeah.
makes me feel so good. Oh, my cat loves me. Like my cat adores me, and it's like a flex because like I know cats are a lot of times a little standoffish. I'm like, oh no, my cat loves me. Yeah, and it's funny because so we have two teenage sons, and it's all a little bit of a competition in our family. Like, who does the cat and dog love the most? And I'm just gonna say, like, I don't know. Just exactly. Just look at the evidence, people. No, but I never knew that cats don't meow. Okay, so I've got a burning question about cat meowing, and then I want to come back to the integrative medicine and what you're doing with Katherine Heigl. And there's so much to go through. When a cat meows, one of my team members asked this. By the way, I've got a ton of questions for you, so we'll dig in. When a cat is meowing in the middle of the night, what does it mean and what can you do about it? Because come on, we need to sleep, baby.
Yeah. So that can happen for a variety of reasons. They could be hungry now and they want food now. It could be that they're thirsty or they need to get out of your room to use a litter box if it's not in there. So there's so many different reasons. Cats are also lounging throughout the day. So sometimes they get a burst of energy at night and they're like, I want to play right now. This is my playtime. I want you to get up right now. So it can just mean so many different things. But I would say typically when I see a cat meowing over the night or kind of bugging you, waking you up, it's because they want food. That's usually the case.
Oh my God. Dr. Vaid, that is such a good answer, right? Because I keep my cat sleeps on the foot of my bed, and I keep my door closed, and she'll meow to it at late in the night or sometimes early in the morning, and I'm like, what is it?
Yeah, the early in the morning is usually like, okay, it's time to get up, lady. I want some food.
Right? Now I know. I'm keeping the door open. You go feed yourself.
You go get yourself.
That is hilarious. Okay, so I really want to dig into this practice of integrative medicine. And it's not, I never heard of it until you and I crossed paths, but it makes a ton of sense. When you think about how much more common holistic medicine and functional medicine is for humans, and to your point that it's been probably much more niche for probably a long time, enlightened vets a long time ago said, okay, there's a better way. But what is it exactly? Just to give a little foundation for our conversation.
So integrative medicine focuses on preventative care and longevity. It focuses on treating the disease and not just the symptom. So when you come in, your dog is itchy, I give you an injection for itchiness, I'm not solving the problem. I'm solving his symptom. So what I focus on is, why is your dog itchy? How can we make it stop being itchy so that you're not coming in every month for an injection? So that's kind of how we are a little bit different. We also focus again on longevity so that when they reach the 15, 16 years, they're not debilitated, they're not deteriorated out of their body. And so we check for vitamins and minerals, getting them on the correct diet so that when they get to that point, we've now preserved their joints and their muscle mass and all those things so that they're living healthy without you having to change their diapers and, feed them and all those kinds of things that happen as dogs age.
Just like humans. Just like humans,
yeah. It's just like taking care of your body in a more holistic way. So instead of just treating things instead of treating things as they've come, like now you have kidney disease and I'm going to treat it, trying to prevent that from even happening. So focusing really on diet, which is so, so important in pets and in humans, so that we can get them in the right kind of place where they're not dealing with these chronic illnesses that we could have prevented.
I love this. In fact, I was telling you before our session began that I interviewed this amazing doctor of Ayurveda yesterday, a lady named Nidhi Pandya. And talking to you, I'm like, oh my gosh, Dr. Vaid, let's start an Ayurveda for pets, right? Because that's exactly what Ayurveda does, the science of life. It's meant...
And that's kind of what integrative medicine is. So I practice Western herbs. A lot of the herbs that we're using are from Ayurvedic medicine. They've been used in India and they've been used around the world to treat things. So we're kind of bringing that concept back. And so instead of using medications, I can use herbs to help with your symptoms that don't have as many side effects, and something you can be on lifelong and it's not going to hurt you, And acupuncture is an Eastern modality as well. It's something that I practice really, really widely in my practice, but it's a Chinese, something that came from the Chinese medicine. So we do incorporate a lot of that into our practice. There's also Chinese herbs, there's food therapy, there's People are doing like massage therapy on their pets now. There's really cool things out there.
Okay, hang on. You're blowing my mind right now because I have an image of a dog. Like my dog loves to have her belly rubbed. Like my Raksha on her back, getting her belly rubbed, but instead of having her belly rubbed, like the big, not big, but like the really thin acupuncture needles. Are you telling me like you do acupuncture on dogs?
I do. Yeah, it's
Wait,
one of my favorite things. Yeah.
Do you have to sedate them?
No.
What?
No. So what I usually do when I recommend it to a patient is I'll have mom or dad and the dog sit in a room. We'll have treats ready so the dog is comfortable, and they'll be feeding treats while I'm just sticking needles in. Usually it's in their back, their head, places they can't reach it. Once the needles are in, they're pretty relaxed because we're using relaxing points on top of the points that they need for whatever illness they're coming in for. And they sit, usually they'll just sit with the needles for 20 minutes or so. I've never had a dog try to scratch them out or bite them out or anything. I think they just know inherently that I'm trying to help them.
Oh my God, my mind is so blown right now.
I had a patient that every time he came into the hospital, absolutely hated me, barked at me. And I just kept at it every week, the acupuncture. So now when I see him, I don't get barked at. Lets me pet him. We're friends now. So I think he knows that I'm helping him. It's just a great feeling.
My mind is so blown right now. And you're in Denver. I'm in Colorado Springs. I'm like, I am so coming to you with my pets. And maybe you can put a few needles in me too while we're there. Like really like be thorough.
Like, can you please help me with my shoulder?
Oh my God, that is so cool. How common, I mean, like my mind is being blown. Do you see like that you're at the very front of what is likely to be a tsunami? I mean, I'm hearing much more supplements in terms of herbs. I'm hearing all the things that have exploded in human wellness. It feels like you are on the forefront of a genuine tsunami in veterinary care.
Yeah. And when I first started this 3-4 years ago, I mean, there was just my mentor, Dr. Richter in California, was the only one that I knew who did it. Now in Denver, I lead my hospital and there's 2 doctors under me who are doing it as well. So it just has really become something that's a lot more popular. And I love that because I think it's a great way to treat chronic disease without having to put them on these long-term medications.
Well, totally. Let me ask you this. Is there like an FDA for pets or for animals? Like any sort of governing body? Okay, so
there is. Specifically for food and medications. It's not as regulated in the integrative world. A lot of the research that we're taking is from human medicine. So if it's worked in the human realm, we're using it to see how it works in the animal realm. So there's just not enough research in the animal world. But a lot of the integrated medicine that I do is evidence-based. And the people I've learned from are using evidence-based material. So it's not like we're just picking it up from the sky and deciding to use it. It's things that have worked on animals and people that it's evidence-based that we can now try on our patients.
But okay, well, and that makes sense, right? That you're not just speculating, that it's, you're connecting dots, but it's not like rigorous trials. I mean, we think of the FDA, and especially when it comes to prescription drugs and pharmaceuticals, that those kind of clinical trials go many, many years, right?
There is. For the prescription medications, yes, there is. It is really, they do that. And it's the same thing as like when you get a new medication out that on the market, it's a trial and error of, okay, well, now we're seeing these symptoms that were not talked about in the trials.
Well, and the side effects, right?
And the side effects, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's what the beauty of, obviously, of integrative medicine and holistic medicine is like you say, it treats the, it treats the root cause. And ideally with little or no side effects, which is obviously the problem with so much modern Western medicine of using more, pharmaceutical kind of interventions.
Yeah. And I have clients, I thought the hardest thing would be convincing people to do this. But when I go into an exam room and I tell my clients, like, I don't use antibiotics unless your dog has an infection. I don't just speculate it. I don't put them on medications. I take a different route. People are so amenable to it. They are so like, yeah, I love that. I love that you take a more conservative route. I want to try that with you. And so I love that people are really buying into it, because I think that was my biggest concern, was people want a quick fix, and medicine gives you that.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's so short term, right? I mean, it's like you get that quick fix, but you pay a price. And I mean, not only do you pay a price with the side effects, but when I think about the root cause isn't getting addressed, right? So you're almost paying like a double price. Let me ask you, do you have a TED Talk?
I don't.
I like, okay, I'm working on my TED Talk and I just like, I'm excited to talk to you and to learn about this. And again, as we were talking about at the beginning with, just how the relationship of humans with their pets, how so many more people are investing in their pets and their longevity. I'm bold prediction. You heard it here first, folks. Ambika, you're going to have an amazing, huge TED Talk. Everyone is going to be talking integrated medicine for
You're
pets.
manifesting for me.
I know I'm totally manifesting for you, and we're out here on the Front Range in the Rockies, so I'll get a front row there. No, but it's really fascinating, and to me, I mean, connecting the dots between how we invest in our own health and wellness as humans. I mean, it's not a very big leap to say, oh, there is so much more of an opportunity for me to invest in the genuine long-term wellness in my pet. And like you were saying, not just to extend their life, but to extend the quality of their life. So they are happy campers, well into their older teen years. By the way, do you have a sense, I mean, this is a little morbid. Most dogs die about what, 15, 16?
Yeah, I mean, bigger breed dogs usually will 10 to 12, smaller breed dogs 15, 16. Yes.
So do you expect, if you were to kind of draw a line in the sand from when you started practicing this with your clients, would you expect to see that some of these dogs that maybe were, and not only just lived to 15 or 16, maybe didn't have the quality of life, so the quality of their life is extended and their actual age is extended? Is that what you expect?
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. I have a client who has a 20-year-old kitty who came in for diarrhea, and her and I have been working on diet, just no medications. Let's just fix the diet. Cats are carnivores. They want a meaty diet. They're not made to eat kibble. So cats that are on kibble, that's why we're seeing hyperthyroidism and chronic kidney disease. It's drying out their kidneys. They are meat lovers. Like, that's all they know. So if we're not feeding them either canned food or some type of freeze-dried raw food that we can rehydrate, we're not helping them. So I have this client that we've been working on. She was like, I really want to do this with you. Let's do it. The cat's 20. And I was like, well, let's get some lab work because now he's having diarrhea. I just want to make sure that there's not something going on. This cat's lab work was more perfect than my 9-year-old dog's lab work. And when I called her and gave her the news, she was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this worked. And that cat is 20 years old. So it's just wonderful to see the changes that just diet alone can make.
Oh my God. Well, first of all, I'm both really ecstatic and really mortified because I've been giving my dog the Live Clear by Purina, the that dry cat food. And my friend came over the other day. Shout out to Janae. She was like, you're going to kill your cat if you don't give it. So then I moistened it. She would not, and my cat is the cutest cat in the world. Her name is Cupcake. Shout out to Cupcake. She would not, she wouldn't eat it. So I think what I hear you saying is I need to change her diet.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. So, I mean, and we can talk about that. So putting her on a canned food, something that's either mainly protein based, a wet food she's getting all that moisture that she needs, or a freeze-dried raw food that you can rehydrate is great. So my personal preference is a freeze-dried raw food because one, you can rehydrate it. Two, again, cats are carnivores, so they live off of the meat, but they also you're getting so much more nutrient. So if you're giving them that freeze-dried food, that it's been freeze-dried raw. So it hasn't been cooked. Nothing's been cooked, which means that the nutrients that are gone with cooking are all still there. It's very nutritious. And you're rehydrating it, so you're getting a little bit of that water and moisture back into their diet. So I will send you some Badlands Ranch cat food because I think your kitty will love it.
Cat food too.
Yes,
awesome.
So we'll get you some of that as well, and it's freeze dried, and I think your kitty will love it. I haven't had one patient that I've given Badlands to that has not liked it. It's been great.
Oh my God, I am so excited. And my kids are going to be like, Mom, thank God you figured this out. Thanks to Dr. Vaid. No, but it's so interesting. Honestly, it makes me mad that, I mean, when I think Purina, this really esteemed big brand that so many of us have put our trust and faith in have totally misled us. Do you feel like I'm right to feel really righteously pissed off right now?
Yeah, I mean, all of the big brands out there, I think it's so easy to fall into the marketing trap of like, well, it's so popular, it's been here for so long, everyone's using it, so I'm just going to use it as well. And that's not your fault. It's not anybody's fault. You haven't done the work behind it, and that's why you
Apparently
trust
not.
us. Well, that's why you trust us, right? The people who have gone to school for it to help you with those decisions. But I think, yeah, it is hard when I have clients that are feeding kibble, especially to kitties, because I just know how detrimental it is to their health, and it can prevent chronic diseases, if we can get them on the right diet.
Oh my God, I feel so honestly like my body feels so relaxed and I mean both I'm like mad and like so relieved, like, okay, my cat's gonna live. She's like 6 right now. I'm like, she's gonna live at least another 20 years. She's gonna outlive me. That's gonna be great.
And you know what? And when I first started vet med, like I only knew about these big brands as well. That's what I was preaching to the world until I became an integrated veterinarian. So my dogs were also on the kibble until I learned to switch them over. My dog Xena is 9. When she was around 7, she started limping. She started showing signs of arthritis. That's when I really got into the integrative world. And all I did was change her. So Chinese medicine really believes on the energies of food and food therapy. So pork essentially is a warming type of protein. Yes, it's a little bit fattier, but it's warming. And arthritis is a cold disease. So if you give them something warming to help with their cold, you should be able to combat their symptoms. So all I did was add fresh food, formulated fresh food for dogs that had pork in it. That's all I did, and added some omega fatty acids to her diet, which is good for joints, eyes, everything. She stopped limping, and I have never had to put her on medication. I just had to change her diet, and that was all I did. And it's cool to see that when I was first getting into it, because I was like, okay, I believe in this. I see it now, and I can really, really, be passionate about this with my clients and my patients now.
Oh my God, I love that so much. And by the way, your TED Talk will not be brought to you by Purina.
No, it won't.
But for real, like I'm just over here thinking. I mean, again, with human beings and functional medicine, especially if you're used to a diet with a lot of processed foods and just not a good diet, how diet alone can heal, like really heal serious chronic diseases. Not always, and I'm not a medical professional, but I've seen it enough in my own life and have heard stories that it just stands to reason that giving your pet really good, healthy food, right? And to your point, like not just like dry kibble. By the way, what about for dogs? Is dry kibble for dogs also bad?
Kibble in general, the way that it's formulated is it's cooked at such high temperature. So anything that was remotely nutritious is gone. It's all burned off. So they're not getting anything nutritious anymore. So I think that's why people really cling to these synthetic supplements to try to put into their foods, but you shouldn't need to do that. Your food should have all the things that you need. It's the same thing as in humans. Like our functional doctors always tell us, don't get on synthetic supplements. You should be getting it from your food. That is the best way to absorb it. It's the same for dogs and cats. It's the best way to absorb it if it's coming from their food. And so I think kibble in general, unless we change the way that we're formulating it, it's just not great. They're mass producing it. They're using products that are just not great. I mean, if the first product on your kibble is bone meal or chicken meal, that means that it's not chicken. It's just a part of the chicken that they just took that they had left over and put into the food. And so that, that is really concerning to me because that's really, really popular in a lot of the foods. So getting them on either a fresh food, an air dried food, or a freeze dried food is great now, even if you can't, and I understand it's expensive and people who want to cook it, it's time consuming. If you can't do it all, even a little bit is better than nothing. If you could add it as a topper, if you could add a couple of, tablespoons as a treat, something like that, that's better than nothing. Getting a little bit of that nutrition into their lives now is better than nothing.
Okay, hang on. Oh my God. I'm just I feel like I just need to hit a big reset button because again, so much of what you're saying is so antithetical to how so many, listen, more inline pet owners, and we do feed, I'll give my husband credit, we feed our dog and like Pet Fresh or something. It's like you can get it at most of the grocery stores.
Fresh Pet.
Yeah, I think so. but the breeder we got our dog from, they were like, oh yeah, kibble. And so like I got all the kibble, and like I feel like an idiot.
No, you shouldn't. And I don't want you or anyone that's listening to feel like an idiot.
That's okay. I'm speaking for everybody who's like, wait, why didn't we not know this? Everyone else is like, oh,
because
Andrea, you should have known.
It's just so niche, like this thought process. And I'll be honest, like it's not a popular opinion, and I get a little bit of hate from it from the other veterinarians. But when I see my patients improving, that's all I really care about, is when I see people and their dogs and their cats doing better, I win, you know? So
no, you totally win. And that's why you're going to do a giant TED Talk and you're going to be famous. I'm like, okay, I interviewed her when she just was like getting going. No, but seriously, like it's so exciting to think of what we can do to invest in. And honestly, when I think about how much less expensive the prevention is than the cure, right? So your point is a good one.
That's the hardest thing to explain to people.
Okay, I'm going to be your spokesperson. Your sidekick. No, but I mean, like you say, it's expensive to, it's more expensive, or, oh God, I want to be careful here in the words. Yes, if you're spending more out of pocket for food for your pet, that can feel like it. But then I go to my vet and I'm like, every time I'm like, that was several $100s, right? And it just, so I feel like if you want a healthy pet that lives with a healthy life for a long time, it just feels like kind of a no-brainer, honestly.
Yeah. And I have so many examples of, like, I had a patient who kept coming in with chronic ear infections. And like you said, the treatment for that is not cheap. And eventually the bacteria becomes resistant to the medication that we're using because we're just doing it so often. And so I finally convinced this owner, please let me change their diet, because I bet you it's a protein allergy. I bet you your dog has an allergy to the protein they're eating. And if we change it to something novel that they've never had before, you may not never ever have to come back for this issue. And finally, when she got fed up of all the, having to come in once a month and nothing was getting better, she changed the diet to what I recommended. I have not seen her back for an ear infection since then. It's just that simple. It's just, if we use our resources appropriately, it can be that simple.
Oh my God. Do you do telehealth with pets?
I do, yeah.
Because I know my audience is going to be like, okay, all right. Like, we're in Orlando or wherever, but we need you to look at our sweet girl. And I would expect, just to your point, like, okay, so your practice is growing here in Colorado and elsewhere. But I feel like there's going to be a lag between how pet owners across the U.S. are able to see somebody like you in person.
Yeah.
Right. And good for you to be at the bleeding edge over here.
Yeah. I mean, I am from California. I moved to Colorado a couple of years ago. So when I was in California, I was working for only holistic. It was called Holistic Vet Clinic. That's all we did. So people were coming to us for second opinions. They were just coming to us because they had tried everything that the general practitioner had recommended. Nothing was working. And you won't believe how many times I saw these clients and these patients, and I was like, well, have you tried to change the food? Have you tried this food yet? And once we did that, it fixed a lot of the things that they paid just so much money for. And it was I felt like I was cheating a little bit, because I felt like it was something that was a no-brainer for me. Like, that's the first thing we're going to do. And if that doesn't help, I have more things in my box that I can help you with, but that's the first and most important thing we're going to do.
I love that as a cheat code. I love that as a cheat code for our pets. Like, that is awesome. It's the same as
humans, right? It's like the things that, if you're tired, if you're not feeling well, there's something in your diet that you need to change as well. And so I think those things are just so important.
Yeah, no, this is a giant, amazing wake-up call. I am loving this so much. Okay, but I want to rewind. So to the food, to ingredients. So when people are out there buying food for their pets, and we'll talk about Badlands Ranch in just a sec, you said if it's bone meal, or you said chicken meal at the top of the ingredients. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. If the first ingredient says meal in it, that means that you're getting any part of that protein, whether it's chicken or beef or whatever. It could be, it could be their colon that they're putting in there, or it could be their feet that they're putting in there.
I was going to say, like, their nails and gross.
That they're just grinding up and using, but because it's part of that protein source, they're allowed to say chicken, beef, pork, whatever. They're allowed to say it. And so that makes it really hard for people who, like, general public to know, like, oh, this looks good to me. me. How would they know otherwise, you know?
Well, and it has a good brand. I mean, God, that makes me mad. Honestly, it just makes me mad that these big corporations that we have entrusted, they know better. They know better. Okay, well, I'm going to try not to say that again. And I keep like, I'm mad. Like, no, but it does. It makes me mad because they know better.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I felt the same way. I felt cheated in vet school because that's all we learned about. And then I came out and that's all that was all we had in our mind was these 3 big brands and that's it. And then when I started doing more research and working with my mentor, I was like, everything I taught, I have to reteach myself.
Wrong.
I have to forget everything I've ever learned up until this point and start all over. And that is so frustrating.
Well, hang on. And honestly, like, amen and good for you. And I can see how it's both frustrating and highly, I got to believe, I mean, talking to you and looking at you, it's got to feel really energizing and so heartening that you answer this call and that you get to do this thing that's so freaking important for animals.
I'm very passionate about it. I've always loved animals since I was a little girl. When we would go back to India, I was the only one playing with the stray dogs and getting bit and needing the rabies shots. And that was me. So I feel like I was born to do this type of work and it makes me happy. I felt like I was getting burnt out of general practitioner work. So when I started doing this work and really connecting with my clients and learning about their lives, because I spent so much more time with them, it made me appreciate it so much more.
Totally. And I can imagine the pet owners feel so empowered in working with you. Like, okay, I don't have to be beholden to a antibiotic prescription or, you know, kind of this conventional approach, but instead one that is really much better for my sweet girl or my sweet little, you know, sweet baby. Okay, I love that. All right, so if back to the ingredients. So if it says meal at the top, like ixnay, totally. What ingredients should people be looking for their
The first ingredient should just
cats?
Be chicken, beef, salmon, whatever protein source that you want. The other thing is, like, if the first couple ingredients is soy, lentils, things like that, that means that that's a big portion. So the first 5 ingredients are the most important. That's what's in there the most. So if the first 5 ingredients are saying soy, lentils, and things like that, that means that there's maybe just a little bit of chicken and a lot of lentil, you know? So you want to pay attention to those first 5 ingredients. So number 1, making sure that it's chicken or beef or whatever protein source you're using. And then if the 3rd or 4th is meal, fine. That means it's on there a little bit less than it should be. So those are the most important things. The rest of it is really just the synthetic supplements and things like that you're seeing. So one important factor is I think people really try to market the omega fatty acids. There's a difference between EPA and DHA. We want the EPA. That's what's important.
What does this mean? I'm like, you're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. EPA and DHA. So rewind.
Yeah. Okay. So omega fatty acids are a really good source of, you know, they help with joints, skin, eyes, everything. They're a really, really good source of fish oil, essentially. And there's 2 different types of oils that you get out of it. You have EPA and DHA.
Okay.
EPA is the good stuff.
I feel like I should know this as a human being. So like, I'm a little embarrassed, but keep going.
No, don't be embarrassed. EPA is the good stuff. That's what we want. DHA is not. And I think sometimes, you know, a brand will put, we have omega fatty acids, but it's really high in DHA and the ratio of EPA is much lower. That's not necessarily better. So just things like that, which, you know, of course, general public is not going to know that. I think it's important to take that food, take a picture of the ingredient list and take it to your vet at your next visit so that you can at least get some advice from them. And they will, you know, all veterinarians are trained in a little bit of nutrition. They're not trained in a lot of it, but they'll at least know the meals and the, you know, soy and all that stuff. They can tell you this is not great. Maybe try X, Y, and Z instead.
Okay. Oh God, I have like 7 questions all wanting to come out at once. Okay. So I'll try to make them one at a time. So with omega fatty acids, should we, like a human being, you know, we might take a fish oil supplement or, you know, something like that. Do you recommend like a standalone supplement
I do.
Your dog? Okay.
Most foods don't carry it. So when a food does, I'm a little skeptical of like, why? So I do recommend the supplement of it. So, you know, mobility supplements carry it. Skin and coat supplements carry it. I do recommend.
And are those brands, mobility supplements?
Well, Badlands Ranch has mobility support, and Badlands Ranch has skin and coat support, and it contains that ingredient. So, and that's an easy powder that you can put into your food. There's other
Oh,
ones
okay.
that if you like capsules or liquids, there's some good brands out there. I really like Nordic Naturals as well, that you can just mix into your food and make it a part of your routine.
Okay, so are there, oh my God, I'm learning so much. I just love this. So are there other, so, and I realize, and like you said at the very beginning, every pet is different, right? So that'd be like, well, every human being should take D3. Well, no, or, whatever. Um, but on average, you see a lot of cats and dogs. On average, what would you say pet owners should plan to supplement their pet's food on average? And you're
On
not diagnosing for
average,
everybody. This is, if
yes.
anything, I'm going to just qualify it by saying, hey guys, this is your starting point. Consider this. Now
Yes.
do your research.
On average, omega fatty acids, 100%, because it's not going to hurt. It's always going to help. The other thing is if you have a dog or cat over 7 years old, they are considered senior. So getting them on a mobility support, something that can help support their joints early and prevent arthritis is super, super important. So that's number two. And then depending on what condition your cat or dog has, you can get a third one. So, my dogs have itchy skin. I put them on the skin and coat support. When it's really cold out, I put my younger dog on the mobility support because it's cold. I want to protect his joints. If you have a cat that has kidney disease, there's kidney supplements. If you have liver disease, there's liver supplements. So I would just focus on that, but I wouldn't do more than that. The multivitamin supplements out there, there's so many brands nowadays, and it's just too hard to keep track of what's actually good for them or what's too much. So I like to just keep it simple. The rest of your nutrients should be coming from your diet, because that's what's going to be absorbed the best.
Okay. So let's talk about Highlands Ranch and
Badlands Ranch.
oh, sorry, Highlands. I'm thinking Highland Ranch in between you and me here in Colorado. So how did you? So yeah, how did you meet Katherine? How did you get involved? And like, just give us a whole breakdown with Badlands Ranch.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did a lot of shelter work when I was in vet school. I had actually kind of made two of these missions essentially to Mexico, where I kind of got, my professors to kind of buy into this with me, and a couple of the students that I was in school with. We drove to Mexico and we did a lot of preventative care. Like out there, they have ticks that have diseases, but they don't have tick control. So we just took a lot of free supplies that we could get a hold of, and we went and did, free tick support. Let's get your cats and dogs sterilized. Let's help them, and I don't speak Spanish. So it was just so fulfilling. And when we'd walk on the streets after work, people just knew us. They're like, oh, it's the doctors, it's the veterinarians. And it was just so special. So I did that twice. I led that twice. And then I graduated vet school and I became a doctor, and life got busy. And I just felt like that part of me was missing. And one awesome thing about Badlands Ranch and Katherine Heigl is she has a lot of philanthropic ideas and things that she's doing. So, they do a lot of work with shelter pets. They give back a lot.
I've
and
seen that on
so
her
important to me.
Instagram. First of all, she is so freaking cute. Like Katherine Heigl is so cute. I'm watching all her videos. She's got like these dogs on her laps, and it's like, oh, like I want to go. It's so cute. But that they're sheltering so many dogs is really sweet.
Yeah, they help sterilize, they help with shelters. They do a lot of that work that is really, really important to me and that I just couldn't devote time to. So kind of partnering with her brand and with her has helped me be a part of that and feel really good about it.
That's awesome. So what do they, first of all, where is Badlands Ranch? It is a physical place, right?
Yeah, I believe it's her ranch. I want to say it's her home is what they're named it after, but I could be wrong.
So somewhere where there are ranches. Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter. And so what do they do? They've got, just talk about like their food and what they're doing as far as what people who are watching and listening can take advantage of.
Yeah. So basically, Katherine had the same idea of like, I don't really know how great Kibble is for my pets. And she has tons of pets. And so she was like, I really want to formulate a food that's good. And so she has, a very niche type of food gentle air dried food, which is a very niche type of food for dogs. There's only a couple brands that do it. And essentially what it is that you're warming the food to a certain temperature that's very, very low, and then you're air drying it. So it has a little bit of like a jerky texture, but it's keeping all the nutrients intact. And it's really, really good for the pets. And so she also has the cat food now, which is the freeze-dried raw, which is better for cats, and that we can rehydrate it and all that good stuff. So whenever you purchase a bag, a portion of the proceeds go towards the shelter animals that she's helping. And so that's really, really cool. So they're raising that money back for the shelter through the bags that we're purchasing, which is awesome.
That is amazing. How do people buy it? Can they go through like a PetSmart or a Walmart, or where do they get this brand?
It is available at pet stores, but it's also available on her website. So, you can go to badlandsranch.com. You can get their supplements, their food, their treats. There's so many different options.
And stuff too? Okay.
Yeah, they have all these great options. And the best thing is I talk about protein allergies a lot, and they have so many different options. Like they have turkey, they have venison, they have sardines for cats. So they do have a lot of different options for you to kind of play with and see what your dog likes the best, your dog or cat likes the best.
Do they, like, when you talk sardines, are those like in a can, like wet sardines?
No, it's the freeze-dried sardine.
It's all freeze-dried. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
That is so cool. And then she also has supplements, it sounds like.
Yes. So she has the mobility supplement that's really popular, the skin and coat that's really popular. She has a multivitamin as well. So, that's an option of I can't afford the food, or I can't afford to get them off the kibble. The kibble's really cheap. This is a great multivitamin to add to your food because I trust it. I really believe in it. And there's so many brands out there that I just don't know what they're actually putting in their supplements. And so it's hard to find brands that you trust. And this is one that I really do.
Well, totally. I mean, Ambika, you nailed it. Like listen, oh my God, as we speak, like such a crazy trust deficit in so many ways in America and beyond. But like, when I think about just even these brands that we trust, that when we scratch beneath the surface, it's like, wait, what? I mean, it reminds me of even like J&J and the stuff in the baby powder, right? It's like, what the frick?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's kind of crazy, like the things that we're finding out about human foods as well with the microplastics and the things that make me mad that I've been putting into my own body. It's so similar in animals, especially as dogs have gotten more popular and cats have gotten more popular. We're just mass producing this food. People are so concerned about their animals. It's easy to kind of trick them into buying what we need them to buy. And it's hard to see that and then see that their pets get so sick because of it.
Well, totally. And you said it a little while ago that just in some instances, just the sheer volume of the marketing makes you think, and particularly brands that have been around for decades. By the way, a shout out to my grandfather. He ran a feed mill in Minnesota, I mean, decades ago. And, it was like a Purina feed mill. Right now, I mean, I'm sure there was just fresh food and so forth as well. But it's like, again, I just think of these brands that dominate in our consciousness and have gained our trust, that then we have to go, wait, what? And so like, shout out Katherine Heigl to you for being somebody who's passionate and saying, yeah, I care enough to build a business. Like as a business owner, like this is no joke what she's doing.
Yeah, no, it's great. And it's so amazing to be a part of the team and to shed awareness and shed some light on it, like getting the opportunity to talk with you and, just be able to share my knowledge and with people who need it and don't know any better. Like, it's just been really fun to be a part of it all. And I think what she's doing is wonderful. And if we can get more people on board with this, it's just going to help pets around the world. Well,
yeah. And again, I mean, I feel like the kind of main topic over here, through line in our discussion, is just back to how much misinformation there is out there as pet owners, as people, how brands that we thought we could trust, we can't trust. And so, what's great for me as somebody who's built a business and a mom and so forth, it's like, okay, I've identified this problem. Now you guys are providing the solution. It's back to like, I feel really annoyed to have felt misled. And I feel heartened. I mean, yes, for doing the show and, and helping you guys spread the word. And, even if people aren't, if they're choosing a different brand, and I want to come back to that, just for more pet owners to be more empowered through being more aware of what is bad for their pets and what's good. So what other brands, okay, Badlands Ranch, number one, but to the extent that it's not at Walmart or not at, your local pet shop, are there any like one or two other ones that you're like, you know what? These are also really good as a vet. And
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
you're working with Katherine. What other brands should people think about?
NutriThrive by Dr. Richter is a great food as well. That one's freeze dried, so it's not air dried, but it has that freeze dried component for dogs and cats. My dogs love that food as a treat, so it's easy to kind of crumble up. You can travel with it. It's really easy. Just Food for Dogs is also a big favorite in my household. That's
Just
a fresh
food for dogs.
Yes, yeah, I know it's a fun name, but that is a fresh food. So it's really just like chicken, quinoa, rice, all the things that you need to make a meal formulated specifically for dogs. And so you don't have to worry about cooking it yourself and then not having enough of the nutrients that you need. It's all made. You can get a pantry fresh version, or you can get the frozen version that you're keeping in your freezer. So that's kind of, my dog's food is really, it's a lot. So we start with that as our base, and then we do the air dried food from Badlands Ranch as the topper, and then we add some supplements on top. And it's a whole feast for them. But those are kind of my favorite ones that I really believe in and I trust in.
Okay. And what about families that want to just give their dogs leftover from their human dinner, or their, it's a hybrid? What should people know, and what should they steer clear of in terms of feeding their, I can't imagine feeding my cat food from my table. I've never done that ever, not once. I don't think she'd eat it. So I don't even know if that's a thing for cats, but maybe. But what should people know about feeding their pets human food?
So what we are cooking with, usually people are using garlic and onions. Those things are toxic to animals, to dogs and cats specifically. So if you just cooked with that and then you give a piece of that to your pet, that is really dangerous. It can cause anemia in our animals, especially if they're getting lots of it over time. The second thing is that our food is
hang on.
fatty.
I just want to say this. So garlic and onions are toxic for dogs, or most pet, or like dogs and cats?
Dogs and cats, more cats than dogs.
Wow. Okay. You just blew my mind again. All right, keep going.
And then the second thing is we cook with oils and butter. It's a little bit more fattier than the food that we're feeding our pets. That can lead to pancreatitis. Pancreatitis is when the pancreas gets inflamed in dogs and cats. It causes really severe symptoms like fever, diarrhea, vomiting, pain in their abdomen. It's really difficult to treat. And once it happens, it's irreversible. So we have to keep them on a low fat food for the rest of their life. It can flare up from time to time. And so that's a big part of it as well. And then lastly, the more we feed our pets from our plate, the fatter they're going to get. Obesity is a really, really big problem for pets and humans in the United States, but that is going to cause joint issues. It's going to cause ligament tears. It's going to make them really sick. We get worried about thyroid problems. People think it's cute, but it's just not healthy for them. We're decreasing their lifespan by so much the more that we feed them.
Wow. I'm not surprised at all. And by the way, so I've got a question or two. I'm going to give a little shout out to my one of my wonderful teammates, Mickey. She's saying for dogs that need to lose weight, especially those with lower energy levels, where's the best place for owners to start?
So start with a weight loss food if you can, or start with the fresh food. Again, the Kibble has a lot of filler in it, so they're getting so much extra stuff they don't need. The fresh food diets have a lot of moisture. You can pick like a quinoa and beef or quinoa and chicken base, and that's really helpful for helping them to lose weight. I had an overweight dog, patient of mine, that we tried everything. We tried the prescription foods and everything. Nothing worked. I switched her on to a fresh food diet that her mom prepared at home. She got supplements from a DIY website. It's called balance.it, that you can get the supplements so you can cook the recipes yourself. It's a little bit cheaper than buying from the commercial brands. And her dog finally lost the weight that it needed to lose. And it was the same
What's
thing.
What's that website called?
Balance.it.
Balance with a D, like balanced?
No, just balance.
Balance.it. Okay, got it.
.it. And it will give you recipes as well as DIY supplements that if you want to make the recipe, you need to make sure it's fully formulated for dogs, because our food is not fully formulated for dogs. So it'll send you those nutrition packets that you can add into the recipes that you're making.
Okay. Hang on. What do you mean your food isn't fully formulated for dogs?
We don't have all the nutrients that dogs need in our food.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I
if
got
you're
you.
cooking for your dog like rice and chicken and veggies, that is not all the nutrients that they need. They need taurine, they need additional amino acids that we don't need in our bodies.
Okay, I got you. So then what are the most common reasons you see dogs gaining weight, and what should even when owners feel like they're doing everything right, why is this? Why are so many more pets obese these days?
So exercise is a big part of it. I think that's something that always gets ignored is the exercise is super big. If your pet doesn't want to exercise, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't. They still need to. They need to go for those long walks. So that's one thing. The other thing is that even if you're feeding a good food, if you're giving a really high fat treat, that's a big problem. I had a client who was feeding less than he was supposed to for his kitty, but he was giving her salmon fillet, like treats every day, like 2 of those, a whole fillet that was freeze dried. And it was like 2,700 calories. I was like, this is why your cat's not losing weight. Stop giving these treats. This is the problem. So that's a big part of it as well, is that you could have a good food, but then you're feeding milk bones or things like that are really, really high in calories as treats. That's not going to help. So what I recommend is if you're worried about weight gain, you don't want to change their food, try reducing it by 25%. So feed them 25% less than what you would used to. And instead of using commercial treats, switch to vegetables, raw or steamed, whatever you want. Carrots, broccoli, green beans are amazing because your dog thinks it's getting something great, high value. It's a treat. They don't know that it's not doing anything for them. They don't know that it's 0 calorie and it's just full of fiber to make them feel fuller. So that's a great alternative. If you have a pet that's a beggar and it wants food when you're eating and sitting on the table, put some blueberries or some apples next to you that you can feed it. And that, again, they don't know that it's not coming off of your plate, but it's not doing any harm to them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh my, I'm like, I can feed my dog a carrot.
Yes,
like,
you can.
Oh, that is so funny. Okay, great.
There are certain foods that are toxic, just really quickly, like don't feed your dog grapes or avocados. Those are toxic to them. But carrots, broccoli, green beans, blueberries, apples, watermelon, those things are all safe.
Okay. And of course, I think everybody knows dogs can't have chocolate. Are there other things that are just relatively common that, I don't know the dog. Thankfully we haven't given our dog grapes or avocado, but any other things that we should steer clear of as humans for our pets? Yeah, so
peanut butter is really popular, but you need to check if your peanut butter has xylitol in it. That's a sweetener. Xylitol is toxic to dogs as well. It can cause seizures. So that's a really big one that has been maybe more popular in the last few years. Marijuana can cause symptoms in our pets as well, and that's really popular nowadays. So keeping those marijuana brownies and things like that away from our pets, because it can make them really, really sick.
Well, we are in Colorado. It is appropriate for
really
you to.
Popular.
I'm like, you're saying this because you've seen it.
Yeah,
clearly.
Well,
oh my God, that is so funny.
Even on walks, people are throwing their things on the ground. And I had one client who came in one day to me, the next day she came back and she's like, my dog is a different dog and I was just here yesterday and it's your fault. And I was like, well, what did you do between the visit and coming back today? And she's like, well, I went to the park. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to drug test your dog. If you went to the park, I bet you got into something, and it did, and it was high on marijuana, and that's why it was feeling so loopy.
Oh my God.
It blew her mind. She was like,
it just blew my mind.
Gosh, yeah, I didn't even think to check for that, I didn't think that people would just throw their things on the ground. And I was like, it's really, really common. And so we need to be really careful about that.
Wow. I mean, I'm like, whoa. Like, where do we even go from here? No, but it's interesting because I'll take my dog for a walk or even in our yard and she wants to try to eat some of the deer poop or bear poop. So it's like you really need, and and especially then if you're more in a park or a city, I feel like what you're saying is you really need to watch. You can't just tune out and doom scroll. You got to see what your dog is eating.
Yeah. Yes. You need to be very careful. Yeah. Because you don't know what's out there. And even if it's just poop, it's not great. It can cause some GI upset if you have a sensitive dog, but at least it's not something toxic.
Well,
but yeah,
if that could be really, you could get really sick from another animal's poop.
You can. Yeah. So that's definitely something, but also if you're seeing, people throw chocolate on the ground or old food on the ground that could be marinated in garlic and onions, those kinds of things are really dangerous. You want to be really careful of that.
Wow. Okay. All right. You heard it here first, folks. Like major insights over here. Okay. So with regard, you were talking a little bit about treats and giving some alternatives as you described, and that there is an obesity problem with people over treating. Are there treats that you either recommend, or like what should people do with treats? And in part, we don't give our dog or cat too many treats. So it's less of a thing for me, but I can see how so many families, it's like they just want to please their dog or they just want to please their cat. So I can totally see a scenario where they're over giving because it makes their pet so happy. So what do you recommend as far as like, I mean, you said, yeah, there's carrots and broccoli and so forth. How frequently should people be giving treats? Like, just like give the breakdown on how we should be giving treats to our pets.
Yeah,
Please.
absolutely. I usually focus on what I'm feeding my dog as food, as their treat. So because I'm giving high quality food, they love it. The Badlands Ranch, for example, I just keep an extra bag available for treats because I know it's high quality. I know it's good for them. They love it. So they don't know that it's not their food time. It's just a treat for them. So that's what I'll give them a handful a day, and that's usually enough. I wouldn't do more than that. The other options you have are mental stimulation. It's really, really important. So if you can get a Kong or a popsicle or something and fill it with pumpkin, which is literally just fiber, canned pumpkin, and it's sweet and they like it. It's a treat for them. Freeze that and give that to them. That takes an hour or two to really, finish, but it's a high value treat for them because they think they're getting something out of it. And it's also making them tired. So it's them exercising if they don't want to go for those long walks. It's a really great way to help with that weight loss component as well. So
Hang on, but you're saying is so you would put are you saying like you get the Kong, and Kongs are the device where you put the food in, the softer food in. Are you saying you put the pumpkin in and then you freeze it? You put that thing in the freezer? Oh, okay, I haven't done that before.
Because it just lasts longer. You get a little bit more from it.
Yeah, I can see that.
And dogs really
idea.
they that mental stimulation is really important for them, and it does help them with weight loss as well. That's exercise for them, so that's really, really, really important. Yeah, so that takes about an hour or two for them to really get through. We have puzzle feeders. So if my dogs are getting treats, they're not just getting treats thrown at them. They're working for it. So we have little balls that have holes in it that we put the treat in. We'll use the air dried food, and then we put the ball on the ground and they have to roll it to try to get the treat out. So they're working for their food, which makes me feel better about giving them extra treats because I know they're working for it a little bit. I wouldn't do more than, if you're feeding about a meal or half a cup a meal, I would do at least less than 1/3 a cup of treats a day. So a couple in the morning, a couple in the evening, and a couple in the afternoon. You can do one Kong, but I wouldn't do more than that in a day. And then I wouldn't really do like the peanut butter or the cheese in the Kongs because those are fatty.
Okay. I'm glad my pets are still alive after all this. Like, how everything doing wrong? Oh, good Lord.
And peanut butter here and there is not going to hurt. I think I do it once in a while, but I think if you want something that you're doing daily to help them with their mental stimulation and their exercise, I would not rely on that.
Okay. Could you do a Kong with peanut butter and freeze that?
Yeah, you can. You could do it with cheese. You could do it with sometimes like the fresh food that I use for the kiddos. I'll put that in there and freeze it. And they love their food. So it's fun for them. And it makes it easy for me. I don't have to buy different treats for them. I can just use that and it's really easy. Freeze-dried protein treats are also wonderful because it's just protein. It's been freeze-dried. It's just protein. There's nothing else in it. So that's a great, great treat as well.
Okay. All right, cool. You're making me wonder. And I discussed this yesterday with the Ayurvedic doctor about intermittent fasting, right? Human beings are not meant to eat all day long. Is this something that you look at with pets? Because
it's the opposite.
I think a lot of pets eat all day long. Oh, okay. So what is the optimal time that pets should eat?
They should have at least 2 meals throughout the day. They shouldn't be grazers. They shouldn't be like you just leave a bowl of food out and they go to it whenever they want, because it messes their glucose, the way that they kind of maintain their glucose levels, and it can mess that up for them. It can cause them to gain weight because their levels are not being maintained the way that they should. It can also cause disease to form as well. Some people only feed their pets once a day, and that can cause, the glucose levels to spike so much because they're only getting it once a day. So twice a day, every 12 hours is recommended. For puppies, we recommend 3 times a day because they need food a little bit more often. They're growing so quickly. And then once they hit that 1 year mark, twice a day.
Okay, so like, let's say we start our day at 7 a.m. So we feed our dog at say 7 a.m. and then 7 p.m. and then maybe a couple treats in between.
Yep, that's it.
Love it. What about for cats? And I'm gonna just tell you, like, I feel so bad. I feel like such a bad pet mom. I leave my cat food out all the time. Am I terrible?
It's the same concept for kitties where we should be feeding them meals, 2 meals a day. The reason I don't like grazing is because I think it can lead to obesity a little bit because there's nothing telling them that they're full. They're not getting that warning in their head that I'm reaching my full limit because they're just eating throughout the day. So they're never getting full, and that can lead them to getting a little obese as well. So I think if we can meal restrict them, it helps with, are you full? How much are you eating? We can make sure you're not gaining weight. And it helps also, like, I've had people who are grazing their cats and now that cat's diabetic. Cats can't be diabetic and grazing. They need to be having meals to get their insulin. So it gets really, really hard to change that once they're older.
Yeah. Okay. It's not too late.
It's not too late.
It's not too late.
It's
okay.
Not too late.
And what did you tell me? I'm going to give her that freeze-dried, raw, rehydrated food.
Yes. Yeah. We're going to get you some of that.
All right. Amazing. So my brother and his amazing wife give their dog Greek yogurt. And I feel like I'm hearing more about Greek yogurt for dogs. Is that a thing?
It has become a thing because it's a really good source of probiotics. I'm okay with it as long as your dog doesn't have a dairy allergy. That's absolutely fine with me. I think people have also been using like the goat's milk kefir is really popular right now. So they're using a little bit of that. That's absolutely fine.
Okay. All right. I want to switch gears a little bit here and this is from one of my amazing teammates, Zeta. For people working long hours away from their pets at home, are there any tips for making their alone time feel more comfortable? Any safety precaution pet owners should take if their pets are staying home alone? And I'm guessing a lot of people have this issue.
Yeah, I do. I work 10-hour days, so I get it. I just would make sure that you're tiring your pet out before you leave for the day. So that may mean that you're changing your schedule to get up a little bit earlier and taking them for that 2-mile walk in the morning so that when you're gone for at least half the day, they're tired, they're sleeping, they're recovering from that walk. Making sure there's water available to them. And again, those high value treats of like something to help their mental stimulation so they're just not sitting there bored all day. I don't love leaving stuffies around because I just feel like those can, if they're really frustrated, they can eat them. My dog, when I was in vet school, used to eat all my socks when I was at home. Thank God she would poop them out, but that could be a big issue.
She would like literally digest them?
She would just eat them all. And then when I would pick up her poop, I was like, oh, that's where all my socks went. Like, and I'm so lucky she didn't obstruct because that's big issue. That's what I was going to say.
Like, that scares the crap out of me.
I got really lucky with her. I was a poor vet student, so I got really, really lucky with her.
Oh, good Lord.
But that's a big thing is, when they're frustrated, they can eat those things. They can get sick. When you're not around, you don't know what happened. So it's hard to know. I do recommend having a camera at home so you can keep eyes on them from time to time. Some people like to crate their animals. I think that's a great idea. It can become a safe space for their pets. And it's also something that is a controlled environment. You have their food in there or their water close by, and that's about it. And there's nothing else that they can get into.
For like 10 hours a day or 6 hours? That seems like a long time. Oh my goodness.
You can. Actually, trainers recommend it. We took our dog to a trainer and she said that if you have a dog that has separation anxiety or is destructive when you're not home, crates are great for them because it becomes their safe space, and that's okay. Then they learn to hold their bladder. Hopefully they've gone out before you've left. When you come home, the first priority needs to be taking them for that long walk again.
Yeah. We've crate trained our dog, and she loves going in there at night, or if we have guests coming over, or if we're going out for an hour or two. It didn't occur to me that during the day to keep her in there for several hours. But yeah, she goes in there happily.
You can. And the other thing too is if you're open to it, I know people who've gotten dog walkers to come throughout the day to walk your dogs, give them a little bit of a break, a potty break, maybe a treat break or something, get some energy out. And then that helps a lot as well. So you're not feeling as guilty.
Yeah, totally. As far as like, you just referenced this, like when dogs get mad and they like eat stuff or like destroy stuff. they're telling you something. Like
They're frustrated.
when it comes to like behavioral signs that you should not ignore, what are the most common ones that pet owners should be aware of?
One thing that is really popular since COVID is that dogs are having really severe separation anxiety. And so right off the bat, if I have a puppy that's coming in that is barking when their mom's not around or crying when their parents are not around, that is a red flag to me immediately, that your dog will have separation anxiety unless we can make a change now. And that means leaving your pet alone throughout the day for an hour at a time when they're really young so they can get used to being on their own. That's number one. Number two, when dogs are frustrated, like destroying things in the house, that can mean that they have too much energy and they need to let it out. And they're not getting that stimulation from you to get that energy out. And they need a way to get that out.
Okay. Okay. So what if your dog has separation anxiety? She's no longer a puppy. Like, is there a way to heal that?
Yes, you can. So it requires a lot of training. And, people nowadays, medication has become very popular. You won't believe the amount of times I have people wanting puppy Prozac to help with their dog separation anxiety. And I will be honest, it does not work without training. Does not work without training. You can spend the money on it. It will not help you without proper training. And so my husband's dog, someone found him as a puppy at 3 months. He was tied to a fence and left behind from his old family. So because of that, he had really severe separation anxiety. We put him in a board and train away from us. So we put him in a 3-week board and train where he stayed somewhere else, and they trained him for 3 weeks, and he learned how to be away from us. We got to learn from them on how to make sure that stayed the way when he came back with us. That's helped tremendously. And the crate is a really, really big part of that. If you can crate train your dog at home, that's going to be a really great way to help with separation anxiety.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's heartening. And, to the extent that it seems like there's been this uptick in anxiety, and separation anxiety and so forth, so that there is a solution to that. But it's going to take some effort.
Yes. I mean, it's going to take work. It's going to take time. There's no easy solution.
Okay. Other behavioral red flags that you see that pet owners should be mindful of?
I think like one other thing that I see a lot is dogs that are a little bit more aggressive. They play aggressively, or they don't respect you. That's a really big deal. We do not ever want the dog to think that it's alpha. You should always be the alpha. The human should always be the alpha. So that's a really big deal as well. Is I'll get patients coming into my office that are aggressive, barking at me, lunging at me, and the owners are like, well, he's not going to bite you. Well, I don't know that. And he doesn't really respect you. So I can't trust that what you're saying is true. So I think it's really important to set that boundary really early on of, I'm your owner, I'm the alpha, and you listen to what I say.
Well, and totally. And oh my God, we're so lucky. We have really the greatest pets in the world. And there's just such different schools of thought, especially when it comes to dogs. Like, this idea of like, I'm the alpha and you're going to train them aggressively seems very counterintuitive and not a good way.
Not training them aggressively. I'm
saying, but like I feel like there are people that they're aggressive with their pets, right? And that is what needs to be avoided. I mean, it's like how we raise our children. Our children are going to absorb the energy. I mean, let me actually ask you this. Do you think this is true? I believe as social creatures, human beings, we're always absorbing each other's energy. And when we treat our kids with respect and we treat them with emotional intelligence and so forth, for the most part, that's what we get back. I mean, there may be a tantrum and a meltdown here, there, and that's developmentally appropriate. But do you feel like that's the case with dogs? Like if we treat them with empathy and respect, that's what we're going to get back?
Yes. And I do feel like they mirror how we're feeling. So if I have a really anxious client and their dog has anxiety, it's because that client is anxious. And if they could control their anxiety, their dog would not be as anxious. Or if I have a dog that's really afraid, that's one thing as well. If I have clients that are really aggressive when they're playing with their pets and they just say, that's how I play, that's how he plays, we're aggressive, I let him bite me and I attack him, that's going to cause aggression. The dog thinks it's normal to be aggressive. They've never been told otherwise. So they're going to continue to be that way.
Ambika, you just gave the biggest truth bomb of this entire show just now. And I kept a poker face. Do you see that? And my dog just came over. I'm hoping she'll come back so I can give her a little time in the spotlight because she's the sweetest. No, but what you said is, I mean, talk about you're getting maybe some like, I don't want you to get hate mail, but like some shade and frustration from people who don't want to face that truth that you just described. And you're just telling the truth of what you see, right? As a vet who has cared for, I'm guessing, hundreds of pets, maybe thousands. And I was thinking about that this morning as I was prepping, this idea of, and I know I touched on it, but just this idea of when there is a, if you will, an emotional symptom in a pet, because that's often the case with a child. An emotional symptom in a child is often, not always, okay, but often mirrored from how the energy and the emotional state of the parent. And I feel like that's what you just said.
Yes. Yeah. It's very similar. It's very similar in animals. They're so in tune to our feelings. That's kind of their job, right? Is they're so loyal that their only focus is us. So if we're not treating them with that respect, or we're not giving them that time that we should be devoting to them, it does affect them.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, in raising children, there are many, many, many of the I would say most respected psychologists and therapists that are experts in parenting that are saying, quit worrying about what your kid's doing. Worry about yourself. What are you doing as a parent to regulate yourself? Right. And like big old truth bomb right there, too. Like, oh, my kid is doing blah, blah, blah. And it's like STFU. You know, and I mean, and I'm being a little crude and coarse over here, but you know, and it's not easy being a parent. It's really the greatest and toughest job to be cliche, but it's true. And yet you realize when you're facing these obstacles with your children, you have nowhere else to look but in the mirror. And I feel like that's what you're saying. And in a way that is the greatest gift ever. I always call my boys my little Buddhists. Now they're teenagers, so they're not little. But I feel like that's what you're saying too. And I know I'm kind of
Yes.
belaboring the point. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I agree with that. Yes, that's my point. But I also want to give a shout out to those people who are adopting those animals from the shelters that didn't have the best life and came with those behavioral issues and are spending the time on trying to help them get better. In some of those cases, especially when you have a dog that you adopted because you don't want it to have to be euthanized and it already has severe anxiety, you're just doing the best that you can. So shout out to those people as well who are saving these lives. And sometimes it's not all of our fault.
Oh my gosh, major shout out to pet owners who get dogs from shelters and mutts mutts. And, you know, and we have a dog that came from a breeder that was important for my husband, and we wanted a hypoallergenic. And I'm so grateful that, you know, we have a dog that we love so much. But it feels like there's a tension, you know, like in our family, I was like, I'll take a dog from a shelter. That's great. And I realize it's just...
But there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think people feel the shame, like you said, and the guilt. One of my veterinarians is like, I only get from breeders because guess what? I'm spending the money on it. I'm going to love it. And I want to choose what I get to love. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think the most important thing is just making sure you're not purchasing from puppy mills because those dogs are just misused and abused so much. If you trust your breeder and it's a reputable breeder, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Okay, thanks. I was feeling a little guilty there for a sec. And, you know, and yeah, and I just, you know, when I think about dogs that have certain temperament and so forth, and the kind of life that you want to have, you know, we're an active family. So we have a dog that we're like running around with and cuddling with. And it's like, oh, it's a perfect dog for our family. But I do want to echo your shouting out to the families that, and individuals that adopt pets from shelters and the work that you were doing and, you know, in Mexico and Katherine's doing. I have a bunch of questions about procedures that are necessary and how pet owners can manage when their vet says, well, you could do this, or this is what I'm recommending. How can pet owners really advocate for themselves? How do you recommend? And like our vet will say, well, you could do this. And I'm like, well, what do you recommend? Right? I have no idea. You know way better than I do, but then it sometimes feels superfluous.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think from a veterinarian's perspective, I never want to put my decision on you because I don't know your financials and I don't know what place you're in, or I don't know how far you want to go with your pet. Some people are like, you know what? I just want to know the diagnosis and then I want it to just deal with it and we'll go from there. Some people are like, I want to do all the things. I don't know what you want to do. So I think we get in this bubble of, here are the things that we could do, but at the end of the day, it's really up to you and we won't judge you for what you choose. And I think that's a great time for clients to go back and do their research of like, well, this is what the vet said. Here's just two things that we can talk about. One thing I really struggle with is that I may think I have a diagnosis and I need this test for it. But if I'm wrong, I don't want you to feel like I just spent $500 of your money and I told you to do this test. And that's where we get kind of into a tough place is, yes, I recommend this, but I could be wrong and it could be something else. And so we need that trust a little bit. And unfortunately, recently, because prices have gone up, that trust is a little lost right now.
Yeah. Why have the price? I mean, the prices seem like out of control now with vets. Why is that?
We price things the way that we are priced for, so medications are more expensive, tests are more expensive. And so we have to price them according to that. Now these tests and things are getting more expensive. Every 6 months, they're increasing the pricing. And we have to stay competitive with it. We don't have a choice in that. And one thing that we stay really good about is that we call all the hospitals in the area and we try to stay within the limit of what the area is charging. But in this economy, it's really, really hard. Like some people don't even have the money for the exams, but it's so out of our control. We have to pay our staff, we have to pay ourselves, we have to pay the labs and the pharmacy because we want to carry the medications for everyone. We have to be able to pay them to carry that. And so it's a little bit out of our control. And again, I just feel like in the recent years, vet med has taken such a big turn. And I think people are really profiting off of that.
Well, yeah. And I feel like that's where you were saying just a moment ago, like there can be a little bit of a trust deficit. In our case, we thought our dog might have a UTI, so they did an expensive exam, and she didn't have it. Now, I mean, it gave me a peace of mind, but I mean, ultimately, I felt really comfortable asking our vet the questions that helped me ultimately decide, right? And then, I mean, I feel like it's as a patient with your own doctor. Your point's a right one. Do your own research. Right. And especially if something doesn't, if that treatment isn't urgent, but you have to be an informed patient and informed consumer. And doctors get it wrong sometimes, and vets get it wrong sometimes.
Unfortunately, yeah. And that's where it gets really hard is we have our insurance to kind of have our back on that. But if you're not doing your own research and then you're blaming everything on the veterinarian for it being their fault, that's why we've now become really cautious of like, hey, we could do this. But tomorrow, if something happens, you're going to blame me for it if I tell you what to do. And that happens way too frequently where there's a lot of blame because you are putting your own money into it. A lot of people don't have pet insurance and that can take a really big toll.
Do you recommend pet insurance?
100%. 110%. When my 15-year-old dog was sick and needed surgery, I mean, even as a veterinarian, it was $8,000. And I just wish I had him on insurance because it would have covered that cost. And since then, I have all my pets on insurance. And, it's expensive. It's about $100 a month for my older kid, but it's better than paying that big bill that I may have to pay one day. It's just nice to know that I have that. I like how you're like my older kid. Yeah. I'm gonna start calling my cat. I'll be like, hey, human children, these are the kids. Like, just get in line. No, but it's back to. I feel like there's hardly a time I'm visiting our vet without it ending up being at least a few $100s. And by the time you have the wellness exam, and if something, if they have that serious illness, then you're grateful that you got that insurance. And God forbid you have a medical emergency, something that you weren't prepared for. It's a weekend, it's after hours, you need to go to the ER. It's a lot more expensive. You need to be hospitalized. That can add up really, really quickly. And it's really difficult for people. But if they put that money into having insurance, it'll save a lot of that cost for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And to your point, I mean, just really to come back to this thesis of all these different treatments are available. And I think you're right. And that we see it in medical practices on humans, that doctors are going to be more and more cautious. and it's not necessarily
we get
the
blamed
best
for
outcome.
everything.
Yeah. No, but that, I mean, and I just really want to drill this point home for everybody that it's like you have to be an informed consumer, and because of the litigious and just the society we live in, that you are going to be motivated to be very cautious and very conservative in treatment, because you of course you want the best outcome for somebody's pets, but you want to avoid the downside. It's like loss aversion.
Yeah. And I don't know your situation and where your finances are. And I don't want to be the one who makes the call for you. And I'll never judge you for whatever you choose to do. I think, it's your pet. I trust you. And whatever you can do is what I'm going to help you with.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Okay. I've got a few more. Let's do them rapid fire, 30 to 60 seconds. I think I know the answer, but what is the one thing people can do to help their dogs live a longer and more joyful life?
Change their diet.
I knew you were going to say that. Okay. Great. All right. Okay. Giving Rawhide to our dog is controversial in my family. What's your take on Rawhide?
Rawhide does not digest well. So if they're chewing big chunks of it and it's stuck in their stomach, it can cause an obstruction. I don't love it.
Oh, my husband is going to be so sanctimonious. Because I'm like, come on, all the vets and all these other people, all the other vets are like, and so it's back to this beginning of like how common Rawhide is.
Yeah, it's very common, but it does not digest well. So if you have a big chunk, like a chunk chewer that's just chewing off big chunks of it and it's stuck in the stomach, it's not moving through the intestines, it can be a big deal. I have seen that happen. I've seen it cause obstructions. I've seen it cause issues.
We're thrown out I mean, I had it hidden. Thrown out the Rawhide. Okay, why do cats rub up against the edge of a door or like corner of a wall?
So that, again, it's so different for each cat. Sometimes it could be they're in a playful mood. Sometimes it could be a sign of irritation, depending on what's going on. Usually it's playful. They're in a playful mood. They want to play. They're trying to get you to play with them.
God, that's so interesting. I would have never interpreted it like that. My cat will do that. Like, I mean, I'm like, what are you doing?
Just they want you to come play and cuddle and all the things with them.
Oh, that's sweet. Okay. What are the signs of a truly happy and healthy dog?
That's a great question. Eating well, drinking well, has good energy, and is a good weight. It's a great sign that things are heading well.
Okay. Eating well, drinking well, and keeping a good weight.
Energy and keeping a good weight.
How about wagging the tail?
That's great. I mean, I have patients that are wagging their tail when they're nervous and they're scared. So it can mean so many different things. But yes, wagging your tail is definitely important as well.
Okay. What are some signs that people should pay attention to that their dog's health might be deteriorating?
So lower energy, lethargy is a really, really big thing that we sometimes forget about. Lower appetite, not drinking as much water, runny stools, those kinds of things.
What are some things that are commonly done to treat dogs at regular vet clinics that might actually be harming them?
Antibiotics for everything, I think, is even before we know that there's an infection, could really be harming them.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, same with humans. What are some things most dog owners are doing that they don't realize might actually be harming their dogs?
Their food, putting them on bad food.
No, I love it. No, but it's that simple.
Yeah, right? It is really that simple.
Okay. You have been an amazing guest. I would love to keep going, but I realize you've got dogs and cats to treat. Is there let me just, last question, maybe two questions. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want the Getting Open audience to know about taking care of their pets?
No, I think you've been so thorough. You've covered, we went from behavior to diet to chronic illness to brands
sheer
that
outrage.
We don't trust. Yeah, so we've covered it all. I think you did a great job.
Oh, thank you. Ambika, you have been an amazing guest. Honestly, like I said a couple of times, I've been so energized talking to you and what you're doing on the leading edge of pet care. It's really exciting. Congratulations for what you're doing, and a shout out to Katherine Heigl for what she's doing with Badlands Ranch. It's really cool. It's good to see people with her stature making that kind of investment.
It makes a big deal.
And raising awareness. right? Because there's so much misinformation. And again, these giant brands that are giving food, for those of you who can't see me, it's like my fingers are like making air quotes. It's not food. It's like giving your kids Cheeto. It's like, who would do that?
That's so funny that you say that, because that's something I say often. It's like, do you want to give Cheetos every day to your food, to your kids? Because that's what you're doing to your pets.
Well, that's what it seems like with a lot of this really bad kibble. All right. Well, thanks so much. And I'm going to come up and see you in Denver. So we'll be meeting
come see me
in person.
It's so nice to meet you. Thank you.
Okay, guys, I hope you are as both heartened and energized as I am for taking even better care of your pets. As always, I'm going to ask for you to follow and or subscribe to the show, because we bring it to you with our full hearts. We don't want you to miss an episode. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.